Hello, people. Can you hear me okay? Hold on. Can you hear me okay, guys? Who can hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So Jade can hear me. Cool. What about Jada? Can Jada hear me as well as Jade?
Yes, sir.
All right. Great. Okay. Welcome all to the beginning of your adventure. All right. So last week we spoke about some business having to do with the schedule. This week we're ready to dive in and get our hands dirty, right? All right. So there are quite a bit of people here. That's good. That's good. So first we're going to dive into a little bit about the course so you can know what the module is about. And then we're going to dive into our first activity. But before we do that, just a quick introduction. So you're supposed to have me. Yes, you guys would have had me for the first time, right? I'm gonna pretty much be your computing lecturer usually throughout while you're at CSA. You guys made it to second year. That's great. Usually first year is the defining year. Yeah, first year is kind of where well, usually the reality of CSA kicks in after the first year. Let's just put it that way, right? Yeah. All right. So after you make it through this year, after this year, it will just be business as usual for you, right? So, welcome. All right. Yes, I see your messages about possibly having to leave. No problem. I understand. By the way, all of these classes will be recorded and uploaded, so no problems there. And we're going to talk a little bit about where to go to get the recording and just a little bit overall about computing, right? So firstly, let us get things kicked off with what is this thing called computing, CSA computing, right? All right, let's see. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. All right. There we go. Operations. Yeah. Pop out. Okay, guys. So this is where your journey begins, right? You know, just like the start of a movie, and the opening scene is like in a world, you know. So in a world of computing and architecture, this is where your journey begins. You start in DDM, then you move, which is digital design media. Then you move over to DDA. I don't know if you're enjoying these acronyms, right? I'm going to start to get used to some of these names. Javin, are you here? Are you here, Javin?
Afternoon.
All right. Good. By the way, guys, I normally call on you randomly, so you need to be on your tippy toes. Yes, Javin. So, what do you think about these acronyms? I'm just throwing 6 acronyms at you one time. DDM, DDA, 3DM. Can you see the screen okay, Javin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, good, good. All right. Right. So then we have 3DM, which is 3D modeling, BIM, which is building information modeling, then AC1 and AC2, which is advanced computing. So we normally arrange these in a kind of a step fashion, right? So you guys are starting at your first step here, right? Bam, digital design media, right? This is where we're going to be introduced to all of the digital tools that we're going to use in CSA, all right? Well, that you're going to use for the rest of your architectural career. Then we're going to hop on to step 2, which is going to be DDA, formerly known as CAD. I need to update this slide. But basically, you're going to learn about drawings and how to annotate drawings. Then we're going to move up another step to 3D modeling. That's going to be in second year. In third year, first semester. This is where you're going to learn how to do modeling and rendering. Anybody knows what I mean by rendering? Oh, I forget. I can't just throw out names like that. I have to call actual names. All right, no problem. Swaby, are you here, Swaby?
Yes, sir.
What do I mean by rendering? Ever hear that term before? 3D rendering?
Yes, sir. I heard this before.
All right, cool. So that's what we're going to do that in third year, second semester. Sorry, third year, first semester. Then we're going to go off to building information modeling, right? That we're going to do in third year, second semester. And pretty much that's where I finish teaching you, right? This is where you finish learn. For advanced computing 1 and 2, you're basically going to be applying everything that you learned in all the other years to do some more computing stuff. All right. So this is going to be your journey throughout the rest of CSA. And usually I see you at the beginning and I also see you at the end. I normally do these 2 courses and sometimes I hop around and do some of these courses in between. Right? So I'm Brian Williams. I am the computing lead for CSA. So pretty much most of the computing courses, it's my job to make them easier for you and not harder. I like to phrase it that way because CSA is already hard, don't it? Nobody would agree with me, so it's easy.
Agree, sir.
All right, I see I get a thumbs up. Right. Right. I must say though that these courses are usually the fun, or rather these modules are usually the fun modules, right? So come here to have fun and get 100% in everything. That's how we roll in computing. All right. All right. Okay. So, we're going to talk about BIM in the future. So we're not going to touch about BIM right now. Is there any questions on this journey that anybody wants to ask? Like, did you all know that there were 6 computing courses in CSA? Or did you already know that? Okay, I'm watching the messages. All right. I'm going to try and get these names good as I go through, right? Mateo, do I have that pronunciation right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Did you know that there were 6 computing courses throughout the rest of your journey through CSA? Okay, does this make you excited or scared, Mateo?
Good one.
Good. All right, no problem. No problem. All right. Well, we should all.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
sir, I have a question. For the 3D modeling,
Mm-hmm.
do we have to use a specific program that CSA recommends or we can use? Because right now I'm learning Blender, but I know that that's not something that architects use. They use SketchUp or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning Blender right now. So do I have to switch or can I just continue using Blender?
All right. That's an excellent question. Azel. That's the name, right?
No, it's Davina.
Oh, it's Davina. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Azel also have a mic unmuted. That's why I'm okay. Davina. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's a good question. And congrats on learning additional software. That's the first thing I would say. So the answer is yes and no. So yes, meaning that in some modules you have to use the software there because you actually submit the working file and it is marked. And no, because in others you can use any software you want. So pretty much things start specific, and as you go through the computing lectures, things get more loose. So at the beginning now, yeah, we have to use SketchUp, we have to use Photoshop and blah, blah, blah. But when you get down to like BIM and 3D modeling, 3D modeling is kind of in the middle. Some of it you have to use, and some of it you can make a choice. But definitely when you get to advanced computing one, like fourth year, like you can use whatever you want. So Blender is a good program to know. I would say. The ones that we're going to be showing you how to use are going to be like the primary ones. And then the supplemental ones, you have to find that out on your own, which is what you're doing with Blender. So that's a good thing. So continue with your Blender journey, but don't leave out the ones that we're going to actually learn. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okie doke. All right. Is there any more questions for me on this? No? Yes? No? All right. Joanne, do I have that right? Is it Joanne? Did I pronounce it right? Are you there? Or not? Hill? Oh, I don't see you anymore. Yeah, you're there. Or is it Joanne J? Okay, I need to watch the chat as well. All right. Okay, I don't hear Hill. Okay. All right, so for most computing modules, I would say all computing modules are pretty much going to be done online. All of the content is available via what's called the student submission portal. So you guys would have used the submission portal last year when you had to submit your studio, right? So when you go over to the portal, which looks something like this. All right, you guys can see my. Okay. Remember to mute your mic, guys. All right, so this is what the student submission portal looks like. Jomo, did you use this portal last year?
No, sir.
Okay, so for some of us, this might be new. Okay, fine. So the URL to get to this site, I'm going to paste it in the link. Pretty much for the rest of computing. Oh, hold on, let me send it to everybody. All right, I've sent you the group chat. I've sent you the link in the group chat. So, by the way, just in case you don't remember this link, if you go to the UTech website, There we go. And if we head down to, if we head up to academics and then go to our faculty, which is Faculty of the Built Environment. And then on the right-hand side, we head to Caribbean School of Architecture. Here you will see a link that says Student Submission Portal right here. And when you click that, click here to access the portal and you end up back in the same location. All right. So this is how you get to this website. Now, this website is pretty much our corner of the world here in CSA, which is a part of the UTech website, but it is more catered to some of the things that we do in CSA. So for example, on the student, there is a couple courses here that are online or partially online. Right now it is computing. What you might find out is that for your design studio, maybe you might use this portal to submit work. It depends on your lecturers. So when you go to computing, these are where you find all 6 computing courses, right? So of course, you guys are right here, which is Intro to Digital Design Media. You click that and welcome to your module page. So this is where we will be operating from. All of our assignments, all of our submissions, everything will be on this page. All right. Nikolai, you following me so far? Nikolai, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. You following me so far?
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
All right. Lovely. Lovely. Right. All right, lovely. Right. So this is the module page. At the top of the module page is going to be our timeline. Now, this is super important because this is where you go to find out all of your assignment deadlines, stuff like that. We don't put deadlines on handouts. As a matter of fact, we don't even have physical handouts here in computing because we are from the future, right? So everything here will be all your deadlines will be in this timeline here, and this timeline tells you exactly what's happening for the module. There's a little calendar here, so if you click on week 5, you can know that, oh, in week 5 we're going to have a work session and it's going to be learning path with Illustrator. And if you want to wonder, okay, what we're doing for the lecture, oh, it's going to be introduction to vector graphics with exercise 3. And we know that that is going to be on September 23rd and so forth. So this is pretty much the entire module laid out on a timeline. So for example, if you want to know, oh, when is my assignment due? If I click here, it will show that, oh, the assignment is going to be given on the 28th and it's due on the 11th. And the assignment is, for example, here. So everything about that is in your timeline on top. So, if you need to remember where something is in terms of the timeline, this is where you go to find it. All right. All right. Marville, you got that?
Got that. All
right. Good. Okay. So here is the link to the class meeting. It's a good idea to always come to the website to click on the link, because just in case, I don't know, like suppose for some reason we're going to use Discord or Google Meet or some other application in the middle of the semester, you can always click on the link and jump straight to the meeting. All right, so always come to the website and click on the link to go to the web meeting. Over here, we have our class whiteboard. So just like how we have a chalkboard in real life, in computing, we have a digital chalkboard and all of us have access to it. So if you click on it here, it will pop up. It might ask you to sign in. You don't have to sign in. You can do this at a later time. If it asks you to sign in, you can just skip it by, how do you skip this again? Oh, no, wait. It shouldn't ask me to sign in. Maybe it's because I already have an account. That's why. Or did I share? Oh, I think I'm just going to click sign up anyway, but it should be where you don't have to sign in. All right. It's good to make an account anyway. It's free, or it's free to use. So anyway, this is what the board looks like. This is why it didn't work, because I didn't give you guys access. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do that shortly. But just so you have an idea, where are you? Here we go. Right. This is what the board looks like. Actually, this is for a previous class, but we are in DDM. That's here. Actually, wait. We're in DDM. Nope. Actually, 24, 25. Yeah. All right. There we go. Right. So this is what it looks like. A big blank board, and you will see a welcome to the digital design module, and this is where we'll be doing all our class activities. All right. Okay, good. Now, as we scroll down, this is where you find all your handouts and assignments. Everything for, well, before I get to here, let me just go at the top. So if you click here, you'll go back to the home page naturally. And this is where you come to get all your grades. Right now, you won't see any grades because everything is going to be blank. It's going to show that everybody have 0%. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means that I haven't inserted the grades as yet, right? And you scroll across to see all your grades. And this is your ID numbers. That's over here. Yeah, this is where you can also get access to the course, to the module outline, which we will go through in a little bit. And these are all your handouts. So for example, next week we'll be doing exercise 1. So if you click on that, you will see here what the exercise is, and it's going to be pretty cool. All exercises have a submit button that you click, and this is where you will actually submit your work. So all work is collected via forms. After all, we're in computing, so everything is going to be computerized. Right, Karen? Understand so far?
Yes, sir.
All right, good, good. Okay, as you scroll down, this is a list of everybody that has registered for the class website. You should see your name here. If you don't see your name here, that means that you didn't click this little register for class button up here. So you need to hit that and send me your information. This is how I get a list of all the people that are doing the module. All right. And pretty much when you scroll down, these are just other class activities that we'll be doing throughout the module. Some of them you see this big blue cover here. This is simply my version of a curtain. And as every time we reveal a new activity, somebody will do a digital drum roll, and then we will lift the curtain to see what that activity is. All right. Now, anything else below, this is just content that has to do with the course. So for example, sometimes there are videos to watch, interesting things to look on. All of that is located as you scroll down. So scroll and scroll and scroll. All right. And we can click this to go back to the top. All right. So this is our module web page, right? To you, it might be new, but this web page follows you throughout the rest of your tenure here at CSA, right? You'll always be coming back to this page, but you'll just go to a different module. Ooh, okay. All right, let's continue. So, where was I? I was here. Yeah. So coursework and assessments is collected via digital submission forms, which we just saw a while ago. All right, so a Google account is required to do this module naturally because we're using Google Forms, and in order to submit files in Google Forms, you have to have a Google account. I'm sure there's nobody here that is like anti-Google. Well, maybe some people are, but we have to use Google nonetheless. All right. A camera device is mandatory when speaking or presenting, right? Everybody got that? Right, Rochelle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wait, but you didn't turn on your camera when you answered me a while ago. That's what they say you're supposed to do, right? Anyway, question. The class activities are different from exercise 1 to 5. That is correct. Don't worry. I'm telling you about the class activities in just a bit. All right. A profile picture and full name. I'm going to put a little phrase here. A human profile picture. No cartoons, no anime characters, no pets, but a human being is required for your profile picture if you're not going to be using your camera every time you sign into class. And I have a feeling, from what I can see here, that most people are not using their camera every time they sign into class, right? I was thinking about giving out a prize for anybody who have their camera on for the entire module, but I'm sorry, I have no money and UTech don't give me any budget for that. So if you're not going to use a camera, you have to use a profile picture, a human profile picture. And I'm trying to think of all the possible questions. Okay, yes, if you really want a picture of your cat on Zoom, you have to be in the picture with the cat or the dog. All right? Cool? Is that good? Understood, Michaela?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Do you have any cats or dogs that you want to be in your profile picture, Michaela?
Pardon, sir?
Do you have any cats, dogs, or pets that you want to be in your profile picture?
I don't like cats. No, I will put myself.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, good. All right, so and remember, guys, full name and spelling, no nicknames, right? So everybody's full name, correct picture must be here. That leads me to the other thing. Yes, we are using Zoom pretty much. That leads me to class participation. Now, how I mark class participation is not whether or not you come to class. It is whether or not you participate. And when I mean participate, I mean like, okay, if you're supposed to have a profile picture and you don't have a profile picture, or you're supposed to, I don't know, if you're presenting a topic, everybody's supposed to have their cameras on. Somebody asked a question about the class activities. So how I do class participation is I have random activities that happen throughout the module. And the focus there is on the word random. So you might come to class today and I say, okay, guys, everybody is to pick up red rose outside and show it to me in Zoom. And if you participate in that activity, I put a 1 beside your name. If you didn't participate, then I put a 0. At the end of the module, I add up all the ones and divide it by the amount of activities that we have. So if you do all the activities, you get 100%. If you didn't do the activities, naturally you don't get the grade. Class activities can only be done in class. So what does that mean? If you come next class with the red rose that I asked you to pick the previous class, it doesn't count. All right? Gavin, you follow me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that is how we'll do class activities. I mean, guys, it's a free 10%. Just come to class and, you never know. These activities will just pop up anytime. And you don't want to miss one, right? All right. So, all right. So did I answer your question, Gifford? Gifford? Gifford, you there?
It's typing, sir. It's typing.
All right, good. Okay, so student submission. The student submission portal is used for accessing class recordings. So what does this mean? That same website that I showed you earlier, there's a big red button here. I mean, you can't miss it. It's big and it's red and it says class recordings. You click on that. It might ask you to sign in. Just sign in with your Google account, doesn't matter. You can use any account to sign in, by the way. When you sign in, you look for your class. So in this case, you're looking for what's the name of this course, Rochelle? I totally forgot. Can you remind me, Rochelle? What's the name of this module?
Intro to digital design.
Aha, good. Yes, you participated, but I'm not grading that question, so I'm sorry. So yes, you got Intro to Digital Design Media, and you look for the year. There's no recordings yet, so you would see one that says 24-25, and when you click on that, you will see all of the classes that happen during that time. All right. Let's go back here. Yes. Okay, so as this is a computing module, you will be using the computer, and just like how most of us have a lot of computers, we probably have computer challenges. So for all your technical computer problems, if you have a computer that's exploding or you have ants in your computer, yes, that has happened before. I give you two solutions. The first one is that you can go to the lab tech at CSA, that's upstairs. I think it's Kevin. Hopefully he will help you guys out. I also asked one of my good friends, Mr. Neville Campbell. He works in my office, and I asked him to just take any requests from students that have computer problems. So those are two places that you can go in case anything is wrong with your computer, because this is a computing module, so you will need your computer. All right. He uses a program called AnyDesk to remote connect to your computer. I don't know what program Kevin uses upstairs. Does anybody know Kevin, the computer lab tech upstairs? No? Anybody?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, that is the lab tech that is upstairs. All right. So those are two choices. Now, I don't have Kevin's number, nor do I have the permission to give out his number, but I can give you Mr. Campbell's number, which is coming right up. Okay, we did talk about the digital whiteboard. That's what we're going to be using to talk about stuff. We will be using Zoom chat. That will be our version of WhatsApp, and it works just like WhatsApp. You know, you send messages, you can text me anytime. Actually, I take that back, almost anytime, right? But this is how we communicate via text messaging, right? What else? In order to use Zoom chat, you have to be invited to the group. It's not like WhatsApp where somebody can just add you to a group. And how you get invited to the group, I have to invite you, and I invite anybody who is on this class list. This is how I know who to invite. All right, so you need to click this little red button here so that I can get your information and I can send you an invite so that we can talk with our Zoom chat. All right, is that clear, Leonardo? Are you there, Leo?
I'm here, sir. But
Any questions?
I was asking how to get on the class list.
Oh, you just go to the website You go to the website and you click on this button here that says register for class. All right. This has nothing to do with UTech registration, by the way, guys. Nothing to do with that. This is just our little computing bubble so that we can operate. All right, Leo, you good?
Yes, sir. I see it.
All right, cool. All right. And oh yes, sorry, I'm just seeing your message now, Leo. All right. All right, moving on. This is the recommended setups for DDM. You will need at least 2 screens, please. It's very difficult to do everything on one screen because there's a lot of tutorial, guys. A lot of tutorials. So, you know, you can have either, if you have a monitor, that's great. If not, you can confiscate the TV in your living room if you are in that situation. If not, and you have like a tablet or a phone, the phone is going to be kind of small, but if that's what you have to use, then that's what you have to use. All right. So those are the recommended setups. Okay, guys. All right. Swaby, do you have any of these configurations at your location?
Yes, sir.
Which one of them you have?
I have the computer and my cell phone.
The computer and the
Cell phone.
what was the last thing you said? Was it phone screen?
Cell phone.
Oh,
Computer
cell
and
phone.
cell phone.
Okay, got you. You have the computer and cell phone. Got you. Cool. Davina, what setup do you have?
Laptop on my phone.
You have the laptop and the tablet. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Right. So, all right. Okay, there are various softwares that we're going to use. We're going to skip this. We're going to use SketchUp. SketchUp is free online. This is the number for Mr. Campbell, guys. So please write this down. Take a screenshot. Anybody knows what's the shortcut for screenshot on a computer device? Who knows the shortcut? Nobody? Yes, Rochelle.
Okay.
Sir, print screen and Windows.
All right, print screen and Windows. Good. Or another one is Windows key and Shift and S, I think. Okay. Anybody here using Mac computers? Anybody? Okay, Javel. What are you using? An M series or the what do you want? The
Yes,
Intel?
sir, Abimo.
A Beamer? That's what we call it now. Wow. I guess I'm not up to the time. Why do you call it a Beamer?
Sir, I do remember. Yes, sir, I have a M3 Pro.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll be talking about that soon. All right, so we are going to be using the Adobe products. Yeah. Just call Mr. Campbell. All right, guys. He will set you up. All right, if you're not set up already. Other than that, you can use the computers in the CSA lab, which already have all of these products. All right. And these are some other programs. Hey, look, Blender. Who was the Blender person again? Remind me. Davina. Right. So see, Davina, you're on the list. Anyway, these are software that you'll probably use throughout your lifetime here at CSA. So, yeah. So get your hands on these eventually. You don't need to use these for digital design media. I'm just giving you, because this is the gateway into the computing club that you would be a part of for the next 4 years. So you will probably need 1 or 2 of these software throughout the rest of your time here at CSA. All right. Okay, the computer labs are open and accessible. And yeah, I think that is it for an overview of the computing module. All right, guys. Are there any questions with this? I don't see any in the chat. Any question regarding any of these things that we discussed? For those of you that didn't get Mr. Campbell's number, here it is again. All right, take a screenshot. I'll put it in the chat as well. Hang on a second. So, Mr. Campbell is 876-401-4247. Oh, yes, he reminded me to give you a disclaimer. Okay. Obviously, if you need any of the software, okay, yes, GW. I see you have Mac as well. If you need access to any of the software, you can talk to Mr. Campbell. If your computer has exploded or is about to explode or it has insects inside it, right? He will not fix it for free. I'm just giving you a heads up. He doesn't work for UTech, right? He works for himself. But I just ask him a favor that because computing students always have like technical challenges with the computers. So I just ask him please to give an ear out and to help out any students that come to him with any requests. All right. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. All right. All right. Any computer problems, don't come to your lecturer. Go to Kevin upstairs or call Mr. Campbell. All right. Okay. I think we are done with this. All right. Now, as for DDM, so we're going to be doing DDM in 2. Let me see. This is what we discussed the last time. Yes. So we're going to be doing DDM in 2 2-hour sessions. One from 12 to 2. That's what we're in now. And then another one from 7 to 9. And this is the lecture and the practical just wrapped up in one, right? Okay, guys. So for those of you who wasn't at class last week, right? So you're not going to come to DDM on a Wednesday. Your Wednesdays, it's actually free from DDM, right? And you will come on Mondays from 12 to 2 and from 7 to 9. Now, from 7 to 9 is usually like a working session. So we're not like learning anything new as such. I think, or at least we're going to try to arrange it that way. All of the lecturing will happen in the midday. So pretty much in the evening when you come to class, it's going to be mainly maybe doing a tutorial, doing a class exercise, which is kind of self-guided, meaning that you are just, I'm literally just here waiting to answer any questions that you might have. Yeah. So what that translates to is that we are usually chilling out, listening to some music and doing some photoshopping and illustrating and InDesign and stuff like that. All right, guys. So that is what we mainly would do in the evening session. All right. Any questions so far on this? Nope. All right. All right, cool. Jomo, you're good, right? You understanding everything so far?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. I did say I would give a little bit of history about myself because most of you guys are meeting me for the first time. So okay, good. So I'm Brian Williams. I am you could say a visualization specialist. I work in everything that is visual and computing and architecture, right? Others. I am the computing lead for the computing modules. All 6 modules I have taught at some point during my work there at UTech. I've been at UTech for maybe about, I think about 10 years, maybe going on 11, right? I actually took a break last year and came back this year. I guess I just love y'all so much, I guess. I don't know, but whatever the reason, I'm back again. Yeah, I do most of the modules. Usually the first one and the last one. So digital design media and advanced computing 2. This time around, I'm also doing 3D modeling. So some of you might also be in the 3D modeling module, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. So I will just I should use Firefox actually. Wow, this is moving slow. Are you guys hearing any sound? A while ago, did anybody hear any sound? I'm doing a mic check. Guys? Did you hear a sound just now with the mic check? I'll do it again for him. Hello there. Anybody can confirm? Did you hear a sound a while ago? Oh, okay, Matteo. I guess that was a thumbs up. Are we awake, guys? Are we here? I hope we're all here. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, right. So let's do this really quickly and then we move on. All right, so quickly, these are some things that, oh my goodness, why is it moving like crap? I don't know. Okay, it's moving fast now.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Is it almost for the class to be on Monday? 79?
Yes. You mean the afternoon session?
Can it stay on Wednesday?
Well, the challenge with that is that there are some clashes with the UTech timetable, right? And the times that are available for me is Monday and Friday. It can't be Friday because of that. I also teach on Saturdays as well, but we did Saturdays last year and
No, thank you
it's
for the
better.
second.
Exactly. So the good news is that the evening session is going to be a working session. So the question about if it's a must, it's more of it's you doing the class exercise in that session primarily. So there are some people who are okay with just doing the class exercise on their own. There are others that
Okay.
would rather do it during like a class setting. So
Understood.
right. So the session in the evening is a little bit more flexible. So for example, if you come and you do the activity, you can leave. Because we're not doing a lecture, we're not doing like, an interactive.
Understood.
Right. All
Okay,
right.
I just asked for persons who maybe wanted to.
Yeah. I know this is it. And basically the timetable will update, I guess, for next semester again. Usually the timetables are done months in advance. So even before, they've finalized dates with lecturers and all of that, you end up getting the timetable first. So that's why this sometimes can happen.
Okay, dokie.
All right. By the way, you guys were getting audio with this quick intro video?
Not sure. I wasn't getting it. I'm
Ah,
getting it now.
meaning you're hearing me in terms of getting audio.
I'm hearing background music.
All right. Forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is just a kind of quick overview. You know what? I'm just gonna. Let me try and find. Firefox. App Mixer. All right, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this one more time to see if I can get it to. Audio. I don't see it here. Oh, okay. All right, here it is. All right, guys, remember to mute your mic whenever you are not speaking. All right. Let me see if I can find this thing. Where is it? It's here. Okay, we're just gonna do it without sound for now, and then we figure out the sound later, right? So this is some of the stuff that I'll be showing you throughout your time here at CSA. Everything from video. No, we won't be getting married. This is just footage of what I've done, but like animations, simulations, like computer stuff, all kinds of nice, fun stuff. And this is the kind of things that we'll be doing throughout those 6 modules that I showed you. All right. Okay. All right. So moving on. Now let's jump into the module. All right. So let us do that. Let me find two. Okay. The module. Just getting the presentation. I got a lot of stuff to do. I'm just waiting for the slide to download because I have it in the cloud. Oh, finally. All right. Okay, guys, you can see the screen okay, right? Is it blurred for anybody, by the way? Seem okay. All right, good, good. All right, so what is digital design media? So how do we use design media? We do floor plans. Everybody should recognize these floor plans. We also do presentation floor plans. And we also do 3D floor plans. Then there is graphic design, photography. Then there is 3D montage. Can anybody tell me what's the difference with these two pictures? Okay, fine. Obviously, there's a difference. Can anybody tell me which one is a photograph and which one is 3D? Azel was just about to tell me. Right, Azel? Ansel? Yeah, man. I know your hand was just about to go up, right? Which one is real and which one is computer generated?
The one on the left is.
Exactly. All right. Good, good. So this is also digital design media, right? Everything from colored presentation plans to presenting or promoting your ideas, your architectural ideas. Like even if you look on this, you know, there's a rendering, there's also a plan, and then there is graphics. So it's not just like one thing that was done, but a combination of different things, right? Things like this, you know, things that has to do with text, right? So design media, digital design media is also text as well. How do you arrange text, right? How do you lay out your presentations? Right. It also includes sketching. Anybody here sketches on their tablet? Anybody have a tablet pen? No? No? Nobody has tablet pen? Okay. Addison. Addison has a tablet pen. Which one do you have, Addison?
Oh no, sir, I said I don't. I don't.
Oh, you say you don't. Oh, but you would like one, don't it?
Of course, it makes life easier.
All right. Okay, let's see here. Right. No, it also includes things like 3D animation as well. Motion graphics, you know, all of this kind of stuff. Right, you see that little text that's coming on there, and so all of this is what is digital design. Like it is a combination of all of this stuff. And in a manner of speaking, all the other computing courses are like a form of digital design media, kinda. So this first course is kind of a broad, just general introduction. So all of those things I showed you a while ago are all things that we're going to learn how to begin to do, right? Swaby, is that scary or exciting for you? Or is it both? Swebe, you there?
Yes, sir. Can you repeat the question?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Oh, I was just all of the items that I just showed you a while ago, right? All of these things. Is it scary or exciting for you?
Exciting.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. Your voice sound a little like you're scared a little, but all right, I'll go with the excitement, right? Okay, so we're gonna have 4 different units. That's what we're gonna do. In unit 1, we're gonna learn about the computer. That's what we're doing today. In unit 2, we're gonna learn about 2D tools. So we're gonna learn Photoshop and Illustrator. In unit 3, we're gonna learn 3D tools. So we're gonna learn SketchUp. Unfortunately, no Blender. Not yet, at least. In unit 4, we're going to learn how to merge all of these things together and learn about web design, right? So we're going to kind of learn about how architects use digital media, understand the tools. We are going to use Photoshop, Illustrator, SketchUp, InDesign. We're going to build a website. It's just going to be awesomeness. Awesomeness. All right, this is how the module is laid out, right? So we have 5 exercises to do. These are in-class exercises. These are not assignments, right? We have 1 assignment. That's an official assignment. I guess you could say that. And then we have an assignment that we call studio-based. That's what you will see on your portal. You will see studio-based assignments. So in the studio-based assignment, we're basically doing something that links to your design studio. Class participation, as I said before, you know what that is. And then your final project is 40%. So I think actually I want to change that. Right. So for the next couple weeks, we're going to be focusing on these exercises. Now, these exercises, the reason they're at 10%, maybe you're saying, sure, 10%, I don't have to do that. Is there anybody saying 10% is nothing? I don't need 10%. All right. Now, the reason they're 10% is because during these 5 exercises is when you are going to be introduced to these tools. So, for example, Evelyn, have you used Photoshop before?
No, sir.
All right. So, in one of these exercises, you're going to be introduced to Photoshop. But Evelyn, what if I tell you I'm going to teach you how to use Photoshop and your first assignment in Photoshop will be 40% of your grade? Wouldn't that sound very stressful?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So this is why learning the applications is going to have a low weighting. So this is why the exercises are at 10%, right? Because you're learning the application. So I'm not going to load you up with a high percentage for learning Photoshop for the first time. However, after we finish doing these 5 exercises, then is when you're going to do it by yourself. And this is why the assignment is 25%. All right. Now I'm going to cross these out because this has actually changed. I've made it a little bit easier. And this will how you learn InDesign. So we're going to use InDesign to do this assignment. All right. And that's going to be worth 15%. Class participation, you know that already. And your final project, we're going to build a website. All right. Anybody here ever built a website before?
We do. Oh, sorry.
Oh, which? All right, Jade, you go first.
Partially have, but not much.
All right, cool. Don't worry, we will not be doing any kind of HTML coding, Java. No. Right. So that is pretty much what the assessment breakdown looks like. All right. Oh, this is that number again. Mr. Neville Campbell, if you have any technical issues, he's the one person, and the other person, if you're on campus, you talk to the lab tech. All right. This is the website that I just told you guys about. And yeah, that is digital design media in a nutshell. All right. Are there any questions you guys have on this? Here we go. Yeah. Any question you guys have based on this information? I'm gonna actually change. Yeah, because this is no more. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Any questions on this, guys? Jadmar, you good? Is it Jadmir or Jadmar? Jadmir? Is that how you pronounce it? Are you there, Jadmir?
I'm here, sir.
Right. You understood everything okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to be doing here is we are going to be buying ourselves a new computer. Is there anybody here that is looking to get a computer for the rest of CSA? Anybody looking to get them computer?
Yeah.
Right, because this is pretty much where the real computer work starts, right? And I guess you're here. Yes, Javin, I see your hand. Oh, that hand is for you're also thinking about buying a computer, right? Javin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. And I guess you see your classmates and you see them working on these renderings and them tell you how the computer, make sure you have a good computer, because yeah, man, I know the stress starts, right? So now to make sure that you guys are prepared, I want to spend a little time and talk about computers, and all of these things. That is where the journey begins for us, right? So all right, now everybody here did IT, right? In first year. We still do IT in CSA?
Yes, sir.
Right. 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 So we're going to be talking about the computer, but we're not going to be doing it in the traditional way of RAM and ROM and that kind of stuff. We're going to look at it in a real world way, right? So as digital artists, and we are digital artists here in CSA. Right. I'm coming. I'm just clicking something that keeps this computer keeps sleeping. Yeah, there we go. All right. So we are digital artists here at CSA. And for the rest of your career, you're pretty much going to be a digital artist. And you have these terms floating around. Is there anybody here that's a computer geek? No, let me say it the other way. Is there anybody here that is not a computer geek? Right? Because if you're your typical computer geek, when you talk about video card and hard drive and all of these things, you probably know what those mean, right? Who here is not a computer geek? Show by giving me a thumbs up emoji in the Zoom. All right, cool. All right, cool. All right. Wow, we have a lot of computer geeks here then. All right, so even though we're all not computer geeks, we still need to interface with the computer more and more. And especially during CSA, like, I guess you've heard from your lecturers that you are now free to use the computer to produce your work or for most of your modules. So you can imagine that pretty much your future hinges on this device that you have in front of you now. So I need you guys to know a little bit more about these devices, especially that you're going to be using it for my module. And my objective is to let you pass. So your tools should be, you should know how to use your tools. So first thing to get off the bat, whether you're using a desktop or a laptop, they are pretty much the same things. Are they? I'm trying. Sidal. Is it Sidal or Sidal? How do you pronounce that one?
Ideal, sir.
Sidial. Ah, cool. That's interesting. It's a very architecturally name. Sidial and Associates. Can you see it? Can you see your future?
Vaguely.
Right. So desktops and laptops, pretty much the same thing. Agree or disagree?
Mostly, but they have very important differences between them.
Ah, give me one of them that you would say is a different.
And the desktops generally tend to be more powerful, and a laptop is more portable.
That's a good point. That's a good point. However, they have the same components inside. So for example, hard drive, memory, blah, 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 all of these things, pretty much the same things inside. Yes, and you're right. One is more portable than the other, right? Now, everything that you see here, what we're going to do is kind of break them down. I promise you this will not be super techy, super geeky, but these things that I have highlighted here, it doesn't matter whether you are a computer nerd or not, you must know these things, because these things, why does it say CP here? It's just a CPU. I don't know. I think the text is too big. That's why it's not here. So this is CPU. But anyway, you need to know these things, right? And hopefully by the end of this lecture, you will see why. Because you guys, chances are some of you will be spending a lot of money. This is probably one of the most expensive tools you will buy as an architectural professional, right? And if you're going to be dropping 1,000 US or 200,000 Jamaican on something, yeah, you want to make sure that you're not wasting it, right? So these terms here, GPU, CPU, RAM, motherboard, storage, we're going to put them together and kind of just go through exactly what they are and how they affect you. So for our analogy, we're going to imagine that the CPU is going to be considered as like a shelf. The GPU is kind of like an artist. The CPU is going to be like an accountant. I know that's a weird one, right? An accountant. I know. But bear with me, guys. Bear with me, all right? Then the RAM is going to be kind of like our tabletop or table surface, right? And our motherboard is going to be kind of like our office space, right? So we're going to kind of use these to kind of go through what this is. And if you think about an office space, they don't have to be an office space. It could be a workspace. It could be a bedroom. Chances are you guys are around that desk now, right? Ansel, are you around the desk?
No, sir, not.
You're not around the desk. Oh, what? You in your bed chilling? Or maybe on the couch, in a hammock on the beach?
Nah.
All right. Who here is around the desk? Leona, what about you? Is it Leona? Yes, I see a thumbs up from Addison. Are you there, Leona?
Yes, sir.
Are you around a desk? Or a table?
Sir.
How's that? A yes or no? What was that, Leona? All right. What is it again? Addison, are you there? You're on a desk?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right. So on your desk in front of you, maybe you have your computer, right? And maybe you have somewhere where you keep stuff. Like let's say that you need to get one of your structures book. Maybe you're going for, well, you have what structures after this, so you have your structures book close by, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I have a book right in front of me.
Right. So when you're in a workspace, you have these different areas that you use, and it's the same kind of thing in a computer, right? The CPU, I don't know why this is just bothering me, the fact that the U keeps dropping off, but anyway, I'll try and ignore. So there is a desk space that you work on, and that is basically your RAM. There's the M going again, but anyway, that is basically your RAM. Oh, I think I don't have the funds. That's why it keeps dropping. Yeah. Anyway, so you have this is kind of like the amount of memory that you have. Now, this is super important for you guys in architecture because let's say, Addison, that you also needed to get a book to do your structures, right? So let's say, where are we? Sorry. Right. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now there's a finite amount of things that you can fit on your desk in front of you, Addison. All right. So let's say you need to do history and you have 3 textbooks that you need to use. In addition to that, you need to be on Zoom, so you need to have your laptop. And also you have to do a sketch on a tabloid size drawing, what do you call it? Clipboard. Now, could all those things hold on your desk, Addison?
Yeah, they can.
Wow, you have a big desk. Are you around
Well, to be fair, I'm right now using a very large table.
All right,
I
good.
normally use it because it works better than the smaller ones. I feel like they don't really fit what I need them to.
I'm glad that you brought that up because working with a large table is equivalent to having RAM in your computer. So if you've ever needed to purchase, like if you hear the term, oh, I'm running out of memory and I'm running out of RAM, it is literally because the space that you have to work with is not big enough. So like Addison have a big desk now, so that means you have a lot of RAM, meaning that you can fit all those things I told you on your table. So question, what if you had a much smaller table, right? How would that work out if you had a smaller table, right? So for example, let's see. Marville, are you here? Marville?
I am, yes, I am, sir.
Right. So Addison a while ago said she have a big desk and she was able to hold multiple textbooks along with a clipboard on her computer. What if she had a small desk? How would she get through her work?
I don't know, maybe that Addison? Probably, I don't know. Probably ask Addison how she would do it.
Yeah, but what if you were in the same position?
Oh, may I take off one use I need?
Exactly. So that would mean that chances are you'd have to store the item somewhere else, like maybe on your shelf or, I don't know, in another room.
Correct.
Right?
That's probably what I would do, yeah.
Exactly. And this is
Or on the
exactly, or on the floor. And this is exactly how the computer works. Whenever you're running out of memory, it needs to store the items somewhere else because there's not enough space to have it open. And when it stores it somewhere else, it takes you much longer to go on the ground to pick up a book or over a shelf than if the item was already on your desk. So in a nutshell, that is really what is happening. And this is why RAM is important. It gives you a lot of workspace. Now, there's two other things that we want to cover. The first one is the CPU, which is the accountant. That's what we said. And what is an accountant good at doing? Abeni, I haven't called your name since I've been here. Did I get that pronunciation right? Abeni? Abeni? Are you there? Hello? Abeni, are you there? All right, moving on. Roginio. I'm just butchering these names. Are you there, Chambers? Chambers? No? Hold on, I just have a question.
Sir, if there's nobody there, can somebody who's here just answer?
Yeah, I normally go through and call names.
Oh, okay, no problem.
The reason I do that is, I can know who I should give the class participation grade to, right? Don't it?
That's it. That makes sense.
All right, Jenna Lee, are you there? No, Jenna Lee not here either? No? Are you trying to find the unmute button?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Ah, you found the unmute button. Okay. So what does an accountant do? What is an accountant good at doing?
They're good with numbers, sir.
Ah, exacto mundo. No, so a good question I would want to ask you. I don't want to be discriminative, but do you think an accountant would be also good with graphics? Or graphics are numbers? Which one would you assume they would be good at?
So I don't think they would be the best at the figures. No.
Okay. So, Jenna, are you good at graphics? I mean, you're in CSA, so you have some kind of artist influence, experience.
Little. No, nothing crazy.
You can't help yourself. Right, but what if I put you over Bizad to do some calculation on company financials? Would you feel out of place there, or you'd be just fine?
I would feel out of place.
Well, that is exactly what happens inside our computer, believe it or not. So the CPU is great with numbers, right? So when you have to do calculations of things, that is all the CPU. Now, this question goes out to anybody who can get it first. What do we do mainly in architecture, in CSA? Do we normally deal with numbers or graphics? Which one?
Graphics, sir.
Exacto mundo. Exactly. Now, the CPU is not responsible for graphics. And when you go on Amazon to buy a CPU, you hear these names get thrown around, 10 core, 12 core, it's 4 gigahertz fast. And all of that is talking about what? The CPU. What you guys should care about is the GPU. The GPU is the graphics processing unit, and that is the artist. No, you still need a CPU to work, right? Like you cannot be an architecture and don't know how to add like 2 plus 2, obviously. But at the same time, for us in architecture, the CPU or the artist is like the most important component in the computer. Well, that and RAM, Because obviously, if you don't have any table space to work at, then it's all for nothing, right? So far your table space is your RAM. Your CPU is kind of like your accountant, the person who crunches numbers, but your GPU is your best friend. This is the person who is really good at graphics, right? And I know some of you in here are good at graphics. So you want to have a grown-up CPU, not a little boy CPU or a little girl CPU, if you understand what I mean. So hence the computer that you get, the GPU. The GPU needs to be a big man, not a little boy, if you understand what I mean. Now, we can translate all of that into exactly, what the CPU and the GPU is. So for example, both the CPU and GPU, they calculate stuff, but the GPU is responsible primarily for graphics. Now, when you go to get a computer, there are two types of setups that you can get. You can get what is called discrete, or you can get what's called integrated. In a nutshell, integrated bad, discrete good. Why is that? Because for integrated, the CPU and GPU share resources. But for a discrete graphics, they are independent. So think of it this way. You could either be a person that knows how to do accounting and an artist, or if you were two separate person that was an accountant and an artist, it would work out much better for you. All right. So Gavin, you following my analogies?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, great. So this is what a GPU looks like. It has all kinds of fancy graphics and stuff like that. That's usually written on the box. And what do you normally see associated with GPU? That is gaming, right? Because the GPU is responsible for graphics, and graphics is also used in video games. So what does that mean for us in architecture? We just need a gaming laptop and we're good, right? Well, there's a little more that goes into it. Like if we go to Amazon right now, I'm going to see if I can bring this up on my thing here. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's go to Amazon. And I'm just going to type gaming laptop. Right. And we see all of these gaming laptops here. But then we see all of these terminologies like, Asus ROG, Strix G, blah, blah, blah. And if we click on it, we see RTX 4060, Intel i7 13650HX. That's a lot of numbers, right, guys? And some of us might know what these numbers mean. But before we go, like, I know that this might seem a bit, nerdy. But trust me, you will save yourself a lot of headache if you understand what these numbers mean, at least just a few of them. So listen carefully, guys, because this is where you don't want to waste money. Now, usually the first two digits is how new the device is. So think of it like you're purchasing a car and you buy a 2023 Toyota or you buy a 2010 Toyota. Both of them are Toyota. Just because the 2010 Toyota is older doesn't mean it is slower. But Davina, what's the difference with buying a 2010 Toyota and a 2023 Toyota? What are some of the differences you can expect?
It's like fix things that you have problem in the later version. The earlier version was improvements in technology, so they could just fix
Cool.
those.
Cool. So it will be lacking improvements in the technologies. All right. Nice. All right. Jadmar.
Yes, sir.
What do you think is what would be a difference with you buying an old car and a new car of the same type? So 2020 Toyota versus 2023 Toyota.
The different updates with the newer model.
Exactly. Cool. But I'm looking for one particular answer. Jumo, what would be your answer? Are you there, Jumo?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, buying an old 2023, well, 2020, 2010 Toyota versus a 2023 Toyota. What do you think would be one of the main difference? Yeah, it might older, don't have the latest technology, you know, maybe you have to wind up the windows. Maybe you don't have powered windows. But what is that one thing that you could say definitely with the older car you're going to have versus the newer car? Any idea?
Don't take a think that the new car will be more reliable.
Okay, yes, that is true. That is true. That is true. In the car world, that is true. All right. All right. I'm just gonna. What about gas mileage? Don't the newer car you get more mileage from the newer car usually. Don't have to be. So that is okay. All right. So you can say you can reliably depend on using less gas. You could put it that way. Right? So with an older part, chances are it's going to use more power, more electricity. With a newer part, it's going to be more efficient. Now, of course, I could ask this question now to Daniel of, does the fact that the car is older make it slower? What do you think, Daniel?
No, sir.
Exactly. For those of you who are car fanatics, you know, you can always get an old Escort and put a bigger engine in there and, you know, leave a new Audi, right? I mean, you'd probably be much louder. You won't have any fancy features like anti-locking brakes. But you will be fast. So what I'm saying is that when you're looking at computer parts in general, or in this case, the video card, which is essentially the artist, it is one of the most important components and one of the most costly components. When you see these numbers, the first two numbers is like saying, what year car is this? How old is it? It doesn't mean that it is slower. It just means that it is an older generation. It uses more gas. It uses more electricity. Now, what is important is the last two numbers. This last two numbers is the horsepower, right? So hence, if you have a 980, right? I come into the GTX. Yeah? If you have a 980 video card and a 1070 video card, Swaby, which one is the fastest one? Swaby?
Yes, sir.
Which one will be the fastest one? If I have a if I have a 980 graphics card, if I'm buying a computer and one of them is a 980 and one of them is a 1070, which one is the fastest one?
A 980, sir?
The way you said that, of course, I'm going to ask you why. Why is it faster?
I'm not sure.
Well, thank you for being honest, right? Karen, which one is the fastest one and why?
Sir, what is the question?
If I'm buying a computer, maybe a laptop, and I see one that has a 980 video card, right? This is responsible for the graphics in our computer, very important for architecture. If one has a 980 and the other one has a 1070, which one is faster?
Sir.
Okay, cool. Cool. Anybody else?
The 980 faster.
What was that, Addison?
The 980 would be faster.
And why is the 980 faster?
Because the 80 means that it has to be more slow than the other.
Exactly. Exactly. And guys, this is the secret why some of us might spend $1,000 on a card when you could have on a laptop when you could have spent maybe $700 and get a faster one. Because the 2023 Toyota will cost more than the 2010. But if your objective is speed, you don't have to get the newest car. Same thing with the video card. There are some video cards. So for example, if I go back on Amazon that we were just on just now, we can see that, oh, this laptop costs $649 and it has a, oh, no, this one here, and it has a 4060. Ooh, but then we have another video card here that has a 4050. And you're saying, 4060 or 4050? I mean, there's like, it's like $300 less, you know? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this in the afternoon session. And what we're going to do in the afternoon session is that I want you guys to, I'm going to give you 2,000 virtual dollars. And we're going to go and we're going to pick out some computers. But we're going to talk a little bit more about how these specs work, right? And I'm going to pick the top 3 who picked out the top 3 best computer, right? And that's what we're going to do in our working session later. All right, guys?
Okay.
All right. Now, some of the things we discuss, we're going to use in order for you to pick out, to configure for me these computers. So before we go into configure, you don't need any tools. You don't need any software to do this, guys. It's going to be only in the browser, right? I'm going to go over with you some of these numbers. And then I'm going to give you some time. I don't know, maybe a half an hour or something. I don't think you need more than that. And you guys are going to search for me a computer based on certain requirements that I give you. And then you're going to submit that for me. And that's going to be your first class activity. All right. So we'll do that later. We'll talk a little bit more about the video cards because I think some of us maybe not understanding it so good yet. I've seen so many times, guys, where you know, your auntie coming from foreign, your parents overseas, and you know, or you go and work and travel and work your money and you spend your hard-earned $1,000 or $2,000 to buy a computer, and next year it's just not doing what you want it to do. Well, this is the class that you need to pay attention to. All right, in order to not waste that hard-earned money that you're going to now use to dump in a new computer. So we're going to talk about this again later because I think now our time is up. You guys have another class starting soon. And that will be our class activity. We're going to buy a computer. I wish I could give you money, like real money, but unfortunately, UTech doesn't give me the budget to do that. So I can only give you virtual money. All right. All right. So class activity later when we come back at 7 p.m. Yes, at 7 p.m. All right, guys.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Bye bye.
I will see you guys later. Take care. Let's talk about the CPU. Now, every computer that we saw just far, they all have a CPU, right? And so, for example, if I bring up back, let's go back to restore back pages. Here we go. Let's go back to Amazon. And pretty much every computer has a CPU. This one has an Intel i5 1320. This is where things can get really geeky in terms of the numbers, but it's actually very similar in how the graphics processor works as well, right? So for example, pull this back to full screen. Anyway, so you were asking a question of where do you go to find out the specs of your computer? Now, I want to bring up this thing of multiprocessing. Nowadays, every computer that you buy, here we go. It says it has a, let me just click on it and go into the properties here, all right? And if we look into the properties, we already know what this means, right? We know that, oh, half the power, but the latest processor. There are some other numbers here, but we're going to look on these set of numbers now. Now, if we scroll down and we look at all these fancy graphics, right? It looks like it's the fastest thing on planet Earth. You know, the marketing people are doing their job, so can't blame them. Let's go back up here. So if you look under summary and you see processor, hold on, processor. What's the, okay, that's obviously an error, but okay. You will notice, okay, let me click another one here. I'm trying to find the part where it says it has, okay, they don't really say multi-processing anymore, but basically most computers you buy, it will say multi-threaded or multi-processing, right? So this one says that the processor is a Ryzen processor, which is not an Intel. In the world of processors, you have only 3 that exist on planet Earth. You have Apple, which has their M series, you have Intel, and then you have AMD, right? Which you might say is very risky. If there are only 3 companies in the world that make these things, obviously, if anything happens to any one of them, the whole world comes to a standstill. But that did happen. Did anybody remember what happened 5 years ago? 4 years ago? What happened like 4 years ago?
COVID.
Exactly. And there was a chip shortage. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's not much people in the planet Earth that makes these things, right? So that's just the reality of things. All right, so let's find another computer here. Let's find one that is actually Intel. Just to show you this, so I'm gonna go back to gaming laptop. And I type gaming laptop because this is what a lot of people type when they're looking for computers. They just type gaming laptop, right? So I'm helping you guys to kind of break it down so that you know what you are getting. All right. I want to look for the part that says I guess they don't really talk about the multi-core anymore. I guess not. There's a part that says number of threads. And I want to show you what that means. You see, it tells you the processor that's here. And okay, we've gone into the reviews. Okay, so basically, this is how they market CPUs. Now, CPUs all come with multiple processors in them. Nowadays, I mean, back when I was in school, computers come with just a single processor. And when it came out with 2 processors, it was like a big thing. Now, every computer comes with multiple processors. So, multiple processors mean that you can tackle one thing with many hands. So, for example, if you had to paint a wall and tore your paint in the wall, technically you could get it done in half the time. However, if you're reading a book, I mean, if 2 people read a book, can you get the work done in half the time? What do you think?
Can you repeat?
Say again?
Can you repeat the question? It's breaking up for me, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So if 2 people are painting, they can get the work done in half the time. If 2 people are reading, can you get that work done in half the time? Who haven't called on yet? Marvin, what do you say to this question?
Yes or no? They would have to read. One would have to read to one point, and then the other one read from the other point to the other point. And then when the 2 is finished, then the 2 merge the story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that case, they take 3 times as long, even though there are 2 people. Because
Really?
one have to read and the other one have to read, and the 2 of them have to talk about the story to put the story together.
But I guess if you look at it that way, yeah.
All right, but if 2 people are painting, you 2 of you just paint. So what I'm saying is that this is why whenever you might see things advertised and it says, 16 threads, 10 threads, or 10 cores, 15 cores, you can't really use that and multiply it and say, I'm going to do my things in half the time by 15. And that's just because there are some tasks that the computer does that it can't share. There are some tasks that it can share, but believe it or not, about 80% of the things that you do on the computer, everything from browsing YouTube to using Photoshop, only one thread can do it at a time. So when we talk about threads, this is where we get into how do you know the specs of your computer. Now, you can know the specs of your computer pretty much if you're using Windows 10 and up by right-clicking and going to Task Manager. It looks something like this, right? This is the specs of my computer. On this slide, where did my slide go? Oh, crap. I think I closed it. Okay. On this slide, come on, slide, that you're seeing here, you can see that it says this computer is a i5-7500 CPU. This is the speed of the computer. These are the amount of threads which is kind of saying these are the amount of people that are painting the wall for people. If you were painting a wall, think of it as accountants. You have 4 accountants in your computer, and these accountants are responsible for crunching numbers, not graphics, but numbers. Keep that in mind. All right. The memory. I wonder if Janelle can remind me, how would you describe memory? Janelle? Are you
Quick
there?
one, sir. Is it me alone, but your screen blurry?
I know why it's blurry. It's all right. I have to slow it down to make it sharp. Yes, go ahead. Like how you talk, Marvin. Just tell me.
Tell you what.
Right. How would we describe what memory is? We know what CPU is. We just talk about it. It's like it's like the accountant in the computer. It crunches numbers, but it don't deal with graphics.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you describe memory? Remind us. Memory is like what?
Sorry, I'm not a computer geek.
It doesn't have to be. But
memory coming like the let me say I just said is it say if you have enough memory, then maybe you're talking about the table being bigger.
Exactly. So the more memory you have, the more things you can fit on your desk. Think of it just like your drafting table that you guys just use in first year, right? When you spread out a big sheet on the drafting table, but yet you have to look in 5 different books, everything can't fit on the drafting table. So some of them you have to put in your desk, you have to put in your locker, and then when you need to get the book, you have to go to your locker, go to another desk, or put it on the ground or something. So memory is just like that. It is the space that you have to work in. The more memory you have means the more programs you can open, the bigger drawings that you can view. It's just about the working space that you have to work with. It doesn't have anything to do with how fast your computer is. It is simply more space to work in. Now, we also spoke about the GPU, which is the artist, is responsible for graphics, right? And you can see that down here. This is a GPU, and it is a NVIDIA GTX something, 10 something, right? Then we see some other things here like Ethernet and hard drive. We're going to touch on that in just a little bit, but this is pretty much what the CPU is, and this is where you go to find your specs, right? So for example, if I go to mine, well, mine is looking black because I have a dark theme, right? And this is my CPU here. It is a 13 gen i9 to 13900K. I know that is a mouthful, but don't worry, you're going to know what these numbers mean in just a second. And this is my graphics card that's here, and you can see that it is a NVIDIA RTX 4090, right? Then the memory, this is the amount of memory. So this is where you go to find all the specifications on your computer, right? So the way how you access this, you can also go to press Control Alt Delete and then go to Task Manager. And this is where you get that. So CPU is like the accountant, the RAM is like the top, is like the table. Oops. Oh man. Oh, come on. Sorry, I just pressed A button. There we go. There we go. Right. Right. So the CPU is like the accountant. The RAM is like the space that you have to work with. The storage is where you store your stuff because they can't fit on your table. The interesting thing about storage is that when you guys leave your studio back in first year, chances are everything that was on your tabletop, you take it up and you lock it away in your storage. Am I right, Abigail?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So what that mean? Every day you come back, your RAM or your desk is empty again, and then you have to open back all the sheets of paper that you have. I mean, because you don't want to leave your paper outside. You don't want to come back and see it messed up the other day or something. But the fact of the matter is that RAM resets. And this is why when you turn off your computer, or like when your computer crash, like what happened a while ago when my computer tripped out, when it came up back, I had to put everything back into RAM. I had to open Zoom, I had to open PowerPoint. So what that tells you is that RAM is what you call volatile, meaning that when there is no power, you lose everything. This is why if you turn off your computer, you lose everything in RAM, but you don't lose your stuff in storage. So think of the lockers that you have at CSA if you use the lockers, or think of the shelf that you have in your office or in your bedroom, right? When you're done for the day, usually you clear your desk and you put the stuff on your shelf. They will always remain on your shelf, and your shelf is like storage. When you're ready to work, you take the stuff from storage, you put it on your desk, and depending on how big your desk is, that determines how much stuff you can work on at once. All right? So that is essentially what storage is. And of course, the graphics card, the GPU, is pretty much like the artist. It's responsible for all of the graphical stuff in your computer. Notice that your CPU and GPU are two different things, right? And they're also separate, right? All right. So with that said, we want to talk about these things. What do these things mean? i5, i7, and all of these things. Now, there are two ways of thinking about this. You have the consumer way, meaning that when your grandmother go to buy a computer, she doesn't care about the 13900KS 264 and all these numbers. No, when your grandmother go to buy a computer, she's only going to look at, oh, this says 5. And wait, this other one says 7. So 7 must be faster than 5. All right. Do you follow me, Nikoi?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So there's a reason why there are all of these long numbers whenever you go to purchase a computer, right? So if I look back on Amazon here, this computer is a Core i7. Now let's just take this number by itself. It says Core i7. Let's put it where I can see it in one row. So it says Core i7. Now, if you never know nothing about computer, you understand that 7 is higher than 5 and 9 is higher than 7. Now, the reason this is there is for the people that just will go in the store and pick up a computer. But you guys are not going to do that. You guys are educated enough that you're going to get into these numbers that you see here, because this is where you save money or waste money, right? So just because something says i7, there are different types of i7, all right? And the different series that you have, i5, i7, i9, think of it as different tiers. The more I's you have is the more accountants that's there. Like, this is kind of crazy, right? This is like 20 different accountants. Can you guys see that? That's crazy, right? So, i7 has like 8, i5, some of them have 8 and some of them have 4. Remember, accountants have nothing to do with art. So you can have all the accountants that you want. If you don't have a good artist, you will not have good art. And in CSA, we do a lot of art. All right. That no means that you don't want a good accountant, but usually we are constrained by cash flow and money. So most of us can't necessarily just go out and buy a $5,000 computer that has all the accountants and all the artists that we would ever want. So we have to play the balancing game. In general, i5 is for, okay, actually there's a one that's lower than i5. There's i3. i3 is for, I don't know, you just plan to play music and use Word. i5 is for the average person out there. Maybe it just means mid-range. i7 is considered high-end, and i9 is considered enthusiast. If you look on Intel's rating sheet, that is how they do it, right? So obviously i9 is like the fastest tier out there, but it doesn't mean that you always have to buy an i9. Right? You get what I'm saying? And if you know what the numbers mean, then you can go further into this. Now, there are other processors that exist like Xeon, right? But we don't need to go into those because those are mainly for servers and that kind of stuff, right? Now, when we talk about processors, this is in Intel. Okay, obviously, this is the brand. The i7 is, as I said, this is what your grandmother uses to know if the computer is better or not. 5 higher than 3, 7 higher than 5, and so forth. Let's talk about these numbers. Now, the first number is the generation, just like the CPU. And the last numbers, in this case, it's 2 numbers, but in processor world, there's actually 3. That determines the horsepower, how fast it is, right? And then you usually have a digit at the end. It's kind of like, anybody ever see a car that would say something like, I don't know, Civic RS Limited? Anybody? What does the limited mean? Shay, what does the limited mean when you buy a Civic? No clue? Anybody ever? But we see it on cars, right? It means that they only made a few of them. Maybe they only made like 300. So limited just simply means that it's limited. And for some people, they would be like, oh yeah, I want to buy it because then I'll be the only one in Jamaica that has one. So you have these different numbers that come after that tells you, you know, what type it is. As a matter of fact, if I go back a couple slides, when we looked at the GPU, you notice that the GPU also have these numbers afterwards, right? So for example, in GPU world, TI or TI simply means like extreme, or translated, it means it costs way more money for just a little bit more performance, right? M mean that it's mobile, right? And the reason this is important is that you can buy a desktop that has a mobile processor, which means that your processor is not as powerful as the one in the desktop. It is as powerful as one in a laptop. So you see how these numbers can make a difference. Somebody could sell you a computer and say, yo, I'm giving you a 1090 mobile. The little M there simply means that, oh, it's a 1090 that is found in a laptop, not a real 1090, to put it that way. But in the case of a TI, it means that, oh, this is not a regular 980. This is a 980 Ti, you know, extreme or whatever. All right. So if we head back to this here, back to where we were. So we're using back that same analogy. Now, i7 existed like 10 years ago. And today, 10 years after, you still have i7s. There are a lot of processors that exist, right? And unlike graphics where you have GT and GTX and RTX, immediately when you see the word RTX, you can say, oh, this is a new graphics card. But when you say i7, you could be talking about an i7 from 10 years ago or an i7 that just came out yesterday. So that is something very important to note. That means that if your grandmother go on eBay to buy a computer and just say, oh, look, I got you an i7 because it's like next to i9, but it could be an i7 from 10 years ago, all right? So, all right, so that means that you have to know what these numbers mean. Now, just like before, the first 2 digits is the generation. Now, this question is going to be even more nerdy. Can anybody tell me what is the current generation of CPUs? Hmm. 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 Evelyn, do you know?
Can you repeat, sir?
What is the current generation of CPUs? Just like how the current generation of GPUs is 40, right? What is the current generation of CPUs?
10. Not sure. Not sure, to be honest.
That's fine. 10 is actually not that old. Anybody else want to give it a swing? What about
14.
14? Who said 14? Was that?
did.
Ah, you're absolutely right. The latest processor that came out maybe like a year ago is 14. That is how far we are. Now, just like with the car, it don't mean that the 10 is slower. It simply means that the 14 is newer. I guess you could say it that way, right? Now, just like before, you have these digits that come after, right? So, for example, this is an i7 4700. It is a 4th generation, but the horsepower is 700, right? It's not a 47th generation. I mean, we don't reach nowhere near to say it. It is a 4th generation, right? So in CPU world, the horsepower has 3 digits. So for example, you will hear somebody say, okay, I have a i7 10700. So this simply means that, okay, in the tier of i7, I have a 10th generation and the horsepower is 700. The highest you can go is 9, just like with graphics card. All right. Now, in addition to that, you also have the speed, and in this case, the speed of this is 2.9 gigahertz. Now, if you look at these two processors, this processor from maybe 10 years ago is a 4th generation processor. That is very old, and it is a 790, right? It has quad core, that means 4 cores, for those little boxes, and the speed of it is 3.6 gigahertz. Fast forward to this 10th generation processor, it is a 10700. So remember, this is a 4790 and a 10700. Now, both of these are in the horsepower range of 7, right? You have to remember this is 7, but this is 790 and this is 7, right? This has 4 cores, so 4 of those boxes, and this has 8 of those boxes. The speed of this 4 core is 3.6 gigahertz, but the speed of this 8 core is 2.9. So yes, this is the world of processors is very convoluted, and this is why people just look at the i5 and say, this is a 10th generation i7, I will just buy it. All right. So if I put these two processors to you, Stefan, which one of these are faster?
Yeah.
Which one?
Plus.
What was that, Stefan? Oh. Okay. How about Rochelle? Which one of these are faster?
Body later.
Oh, Ansel, you saying something?
No, sir, my bad. I was not saying.
Okay. Who was I talking to? Rochelle, are you there?
Sir, the one with the Intel Core i7 10th gen.
Oh, it's this one?
Yeah,
And why is it faster?
I'm looking at the 10th gen. 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 more up to date generation of stuff.
Okay.
And they have the octa-core, 8-core.
Right. So it has more cores. So there are a couple numbers to watch here. The last 3 digits tells us the speed. So this is the horsepower, so to speak, how powerful it is. So this is a 790 and this is a 700. So this older processor technically is faster, but it is 4th generation versus 10th generation. So what does this mean? This means that you will probably see a difference on your light bill when you run this old computer. All right, an older car run less fuel efficient, but it is faster. All right, that means that if you're buying a laptop, it's going to get much hotter. You're going to have less battery life and all of these things. You understand?
Say that again about the battery life, sir.
You're going to have less battery life because it goes faster. You're going to burn fuel, or in the case of battery life, you're going to burn energy much higher. Right? You're going to generate more heat. All right? So when you compare the Intels, right? So you have basically for CSA, don't consider anything lower than i5. So i5, i7, i9, right? Remember, the first digit here is the generation. We're in generation 14, right? And the last 3 digits is the horsepower. So 900 is faster than 700, right? And then you have these little letters here that tell you, for example, K mean unlocked. So anybody ever heard of the word overclocking? Ever heard of this term? You watch a YouTube video and you see people overclocking. Right? Gavin, you ever heard of that term, overclocking?
No, sir, I never heard of it.
Okay. So yes, you can make your computer go faster than it's rated to go. And you can only do that with the ones that have the K there. Not that we care about that. You don't need to worry about that with CSA, but just so you know that these letters, they have like a meaning to it, right? So, as I was saying, there are only 3 brands pretty much that exist in the world today that does computers. We just looked at Intel a while ago. Usually AMD is known as the underdog. They're usually more affordable. Intel is kind of the industry standard. You know, that's just the way it is. Though I would argue that nowadays AMD is much faster than Intel. Intel is kind of like the big I don't know, the big chubby guy that doesn't exercise because he has all the money in the world, and their products are really good. AMD is that little underdog fellow that works twice as hard as the big guy, but people still prefer to go with Intel. It's kind of, that's like the general gist of things, right? And even today, I mean, I would say that AMD is just way more efficient, the cost less, and better than Intel. But Intel is just positioned in the economy in such a way that people just psychologically believe that they're better. In some cases, they are. At the end of the day, what determines these things is that they are packaged differently. So, for example, RTX graphics cards are usually strategically packaged with Intel. Not that you don't find them with AMD, you do, but I don't know what's the politics behind it, but you usually find AMD packaged with Radeon cards. And that's usually because AMD also owns Radeon. So when you buy a graphics card, when you buy a laptop that has AMD processor and an AMD graphics card, you're paying like 20% less than a computer that has an Intel and NVIDIA. You know what they say about life. You know, you get what you pay for. Now, AMD is just like Intel. Their brand is called Ryzen, right? So Intel is called Core and AMD is called Ryzen. So you have Ryzen 5, Ryzen 9, and Ryzen 3. These are, as I said, this is what your grandmother looks for when they're buying. 9 is higher than 5, so it must be better. You guys are going to dive down into these numbers. So for example, the first digit is the generation and the last 3 digits is the horsepower. And then you have these variants there. So for example, X mean high performance with XFR. This when you get down to these letters, you get down into the nerd phase. You don't have to worry about this. What you do have to worry about are, how new is it? This tells you. How fast is it? These 3 digits tell you. And that is what you should care about. All right. Okay. So I think we've pretty much covered the main components of the computer. Sidiel, what do you think is happening with this table right here?
Sir, them running low on RAM.
Exactly.
Yes,
Because them have YouTube, 1 million tabs open in Chrome, they have Photoshop, they have Illustrator. And what do you think happens when you fill up your RAM of so much things?
You start to slow down and be less efficient.
Exacto mundo. That is exactly what starts to happen. Where is it? Right. So what happens is that you will either crash, but nowadays you're not going to crash because computers has just gotten better. Instead, what will happen is that you will just start to move very slow, right? Because what the computer is doing is, okay, I need to put some things on the shelf and only put the things that you need, and that is what that's what's going to happen. So getting more RAM doesn't make your computer faster. I've seen people that say, oh, I bought this laptop, it is so slow, I need it to be faster, let me increase the RAM. No, the RAM just gives you more space to work. That's all it gives you. It does not increase your speed. And when you talk about speed, what speed are you talking about? Are you talking about the speed of the accountant? Or are you talking about the speed of the graphics guy? Because there are 2 guys that work in your computer, the graphics and the accountant. If you're doing a lot of graphics, then you have to increase the speed of your graphics card. If you're doing a lot of like crunching numbers, calculation stuff, simulation, rendering, not rendering in terms of graphics, but rendering in terms of calculations, then you need to increase your CPU speed. Now, the last thing we'll touch on is RAM, and this is where it stores all your storage. Now, pretty much these images summarizes it. Whenever you see the word SATA HDD, whenever you see the word HDD, think turtle. Whenever you see the word SSD, think a rabbit. And whenever you see the word PCIe SSD, that's a mouthful, or NVMe, that's a new term, think rabbit with a rocket pack. I mean, this is pretty visually straightforward, right, Stefan? Stefan, you there? No? Stefan gone to bed? All right. What about Elendra? You there, Elendra? Oh my. What about Abigail?
I'm here, sir.
Ah, you're awake. Okay, great, Abigail. So, are you following this, Abigail? Any questions you have on this by any chance?
No, sir, this is clear.
All right, so look out for these terms: SSD, NVMe, and HDD, right? Don't get tricked. Oh, oops. I've gone too far. All right, great. So we kind of covered all of these things: the storage, the GPU that's responsible for graphics, the RAM that's responsible for your work area, and the CPU, which is like the calculator, right? These are what some of the boxes look like. Artists avoid like the plague. So CSA, nobody should be buying this in CSA. Anything that says Celeron, anything that says Pentium, I'm gonna put this down here. Anything that says i3, anything that says Sempron, this doesn't sell anymore. Like, don't even consider it. If somebody is giving you a free computer, just tell them you don't want it, right? These will make your life much harder at CSA. Avoid like the plague. So, this is where I leave you. Photoshop, in order for Photoshop to work really good, Photoshop requires a large storage. It also requires a fast storage. Remember we spoke about that here. Remember the rocket with the rabbit with the rocket, right? Photoshop doesn't require a fast graphics card, right? Okay, what do you describe as a fast graphics card? What is the horsepower of a fast graphics card? Can you tell me?
90.
Exactly. So if I say Photoshop requires about half, what graphics card would be a good graphics card for Photoshop?
50.
Exactly. Photoshop, ironically, as most people don't realize, does not use a lot of RAM. And this is the thing, most people, oh yeah man, you're doing Photoshop, you're gonna need enough RAM. Photoshop mainly uses your storage. Everything uses your RAM. Obviously, when you open the program, it's going to open in your RAM. But in terms of, doing some heavy duty Photoshop work, it is going to be using the heck out of your storage. And what about the CPU? Well, Photoshop needs a very fast CPU, but it doesn't use a lot of cores, right? Remember we talked about those cores that you have 2 people painting versus 2 people reading a book, right? Even if you have cores are like the calculators. Even if you have 10 calculators, it's only going to use 1. So that one that you have, you want it to be fast. Lumion, anybody know of Lumion? Anybody heard of Lumion?
Yes, sir.
Right. You're going to be very familiar with this next year. What does Lumion use? Well, Lumion does not need a big hard drive, nor does it need a fast hard drive. What does Lumion use the most? Anybody? I'm throwing this one out.
The graphics card.
Exactamundo. So you're going to want to have a high graphics card. All right, now all of these setups, and this is one I did for Revit, and all of these setups that I did for you, I saved all of this on the class website, so you guys can go back and look through this, right? Now, I didn't get a chance to finish this presentation in the first session, so that's why we kind of have to finish it up in the working session. And I'm doing this because I don't want you guys to pick the wrong computer. Computers are expensive, and if you choose wisely, you can have a computer that lasts all of CSA and even beyond, if you know what these things mean, and you don't have to break the bank. All right, and you won't be tricked by certain things. All right, so we're going to talk about these other things as we go through the module, like types of types of computers, Mac versus PC, and that kind of stuff. We're going to discuss that as we go along. What I want you guys to do for me, and guess what? You don't have to do it in the working session because it's already late, but you have to do this for me before the next class. I want you to go on to, I'm going to say Amazon. You know what? Anywhere. If you want to go to like Dell or Lenovo or anywhere, I want you to build me a computer. Find me a computer for CSA. The most efficient computer. Best bang for buck. What do I mean? Meaning that if you find me a good computer and it costs $2,000, that's great. But suppose you find me another computer that costs $1,000 and it is even better or as good as the one that you pick for $2,000. That means that you win. So when you guys go and look up this computer, I want you to go to the class website. Here we go. Right, you're gonna go head over to the class website. Head over to DDM. And this is gonna be your one of your activities, right? And what you're gonna do, you're gonna click submit activity. This is activity 2. What are the most, well, you can't see the name here. What are the most cost-effective laptops for architecture as a student? So you're gonna click submit and you're gonna paste the link that you found here and any comments that you have here. Usually in the comments, you justify why you put it there. So for some people, like I see some people give me like a $4,000 computer. I mean, you have to justify that. Like why? And some people would say, well, you know, because this is the only computer that can do, I don't know, some type of work and you love to do that work. Fine, if you can justify spending $500,000, that's a car money. I'm only giving you guys like $1,000. So you guys need to find the best computer that you can find. And if you go over budget, you need to put in the comments why. All right. If you go under budget, ooh, that's great. What I'm going to do is when you submit it there, I am going to pick the top computers and I'll put a little green tick. When you submit your work, when you submit your computer, you'll see they pop up on a list here. And I'm going to put a green tick on the ones that are the best choice. Does everybody understand what they need to do?
Sir, this is class activity 2.
Yes. I change them every year. So this time it's 1. As I said, yes, class activities are random. As I say, you can come to class and I say, hey, we're doing an activity today, and that's activity 10. That's how we roll, right? So you're going to submit those specs for me. Just click this button here to submit the specs, and I will mark them so we know what it will be for next class.
Sir, can show me where you're gonna do class activity again.
Right, so you need to go to the website. So to go to the website, you go to csa-utechjamaica.org. All right, I'll also, and you'll go here. I'll also paste it in the chat. All right. Then you're going to go to student and head over to computing. And then you will see all the computing courses. You're going to choose Intro to Digital Design Media. And that's how you get to the website. So you scroll down for that class activity, and there will be other activities that's coming. They're just covered. By the way, if you guys need to see the presentation that we did today, it's located here. You can click on it, and if you need to be reminded about some of the things that we discussed, all of those notes are right here. All right. So go forth and buy me a computer. Buy yourself a computer for 1,000 US, or the closest that you can get to 1,000 US, or the cheapest that you can get. It has to be a computer that can work for the type of work that we do. If you forgot what was discussed, don't worry. I will post the recording of the class under class recordings. All right. So for those of you that might have to leave early, it will be here. But usually in these sessions, it's not going to be a lecture. It's going to be more of you just working, and the lecture will be in the morning time. You know, I chose to expand on this topic a little bit because I find that a lot of people purchase these things and they feel sorry that they wasted $2,000 on something that they have to now buy again. So I really don't want you guys to lose money. So go and spend it appropriately. All right. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, cool.
You familiar with OBS?
Yes, I am.
Does that application use a graphics card?
If it well, let me start by saying every application uses the graphics card and the memory and whatever. Does it really use the graphics card highly, like more than any other component? I would say OBS, yes, especially OBS. Especially if you're familiar with some of the advanced effects in OBS, but at the same time, you don't need a high-end graphics card to run OBS. So yes, it uses the graphics card a lot, but you don't need, like, you could get away with like a 60 series cards. You know what I mean? And you pretty much would be just fine for anything that you could do in OBS. All right. So yes, it does use the graphics card, right? But not like Lumion or Twinmotion that you need like a baller graphics card to really use.
Okay, my follow-up question would be, what would cause my graphics card right now to be running at 100%?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. Well, one way that you can find that out is if you go to your task manager, right? And I'm glad that you bring that up, because if you find that there's a device that's using 100%. So for example, right now my CPU is like at 20-ish%, as what you can see here. Let me change it to overall. It's like hovering at around 20-ish%. If you look at my graphics card, I'm running Zoom now, and yeah, there are different graphs here, but averagely, when you look at the percentage, it's like 23%. Now, if your graphics card is running at 100%, or any device here, and you want to find out what is using it, you can go to you can go to processes. Come on, processes. There we go. And if you notice up here, you will see the percentages and disk, CPU, memory. What you can do is you can just right click and say, I want to see my GPU. And now you see that the GPU is here. So you can see, so for example, Zoom is using like averagely about 8% to 10% of my GPU. Right? It's using, very little of my CPU. It's definitely using more GPU. Right? And this is the amount of memory it uses. So this is how you can find out what is using your devices. And don't forget that there are other stuff like, this thing is using my video card here, and these are all the applications that's currently running in the background on my computer. All right. This is the total usage up top. So overall, my graphics card is being used 22%. My CPU is being used 20%, and my memory is 24% usage. That's actually pretty high. Anyway. All right. So does that answer the question?
Yes, sir, it does.
All right. Great. Any more questions from anybody else? All right. So with that said, I'm going to send you guys off to bed. All right.
Yes, sir, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
An Intel like i5 11th gen, I'm assuming 350 is the horsepower. It just says 35. That's pretty low, right?
It sounds low. Repeat it for me. You want to share a link?
Okay, give me a second. All right, so I'm not finding the link exactly, but I can read the name to you again.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. It's an 11th gen i5 1135 G7 at 2.40 gigahertz.
1195.
No, 1135
Mm-hmm.
G7.
Let me see which one is that. Oh, you said 10th gen?
No, 11th gen.
Oh, 11th gen. Uh-huh.
Yeah, 35 G7.
G7?
Yeah.
Intel. Let me see which one is this. Ah, 1135 G7. 1130. Oh, this is because it is okay. So it is an i5, so you know it's in the mid range. You know it is 11 gen. 35 G7. It's probably because let me see. It's slightly it's like a different in this case the horsepower would be 3.5. Let's see. It has 4 cores and okay, cool. 4.2 gigahertz. Da, da, da. Yeah, so it's like in the middle. It's a little lower than the middle tier. So for example, it is i5, which means it is in the middle tier, and then within that tier it is 35 because the highest would be 90. So there's probably one that exists that is 11, I don't know, 95 G7 or something like that. Then that would be higher than this. But all of this is considered under i5. So
Okay, sir.
middle low, that's where it falls, middle low, right? But remember the values. For CSA, nothing less than i5. For memory, nothing less than 16 gigs of RAM. For GPU, nothing less than 50 series. You can get away with 50, but you'll have a very bad time. But definitely not lower than 50. As a matter of fact, not lower than 60. I'm going to raise it by a bar. What else? And for, yeah, those are all. Did I leave out any? Oh, for storage, nothing other than SSD or NVMe. Remember those 3 things that we spoke about. So you guys have the limits of what you should be looking for. Now, in those limits, I didn't say you can get something new or old. You can get something that's old and fast if you find a good deal. Watch the horsepower, guys. Watch the horsepower. All right. All right. I hope you guys caught on, because this is the only time we're going to talk about this stuff. Everything else from now on is going to be diving into digital design media. For next class, remember, let's keep an eye on our timeline.
Sir.
Go ahead.
You find a laptop that has RAM that's 0.4 below 16 RAM. Like 15.6 RAM.
Oh, that's fine. You mean for the RAM? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. What you should avoid like the plague, and you have to look out for this because they will hide it in the values. Okay, let me tell you this before you go, right? If you are looking for a computer, there's a lot of marketing that goes into these things, guys. So don't let the marketing trick you. All right, let me search for a laptop. I'm not even going to search for gaming laptop. I'm going to search for a laptop. Let me see if I can find one for you. Okay, light laptop for students. All right, now I'm going to throw this question out to, I don't know, anybody that wants to answer. Here is the specs for this computer. What video card does it have? Can anybody tell me? What do you think, Makisha? Do you see any video card here? Are you there, Mikisha?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you look here, you will see that it doesn't say anything about what are the three brands we spoke about. We spoke about Intel Arc, which is like the new kid on the block. Like, don't even look there. Then we spoke about AMD Radeon, and then we spoke about the one that's recommended for us, which is NVIDIA. None of that is mentioned here, but it did say ultralight laptop for students. Now, remember, guys, in CSA with the graphics, if it doesn't have a graphics card, like, don't even look on it. Like, don't even look on it. Don't go any further. All right? So this has what is called a integrated graphics card. And if you remember what we said, that is the type of graphics card that it is shared. This is the accountant that can draw, or it is the artist that can do accounting. Both of them work. There is like one person that does both jobs halfway. All right. So no, you need an accountant and you need a graphics card. All right. So anything that doesn't say that it has a graphics card, nah, you avoid it. Okay. Yeah, like even this one, see? It says AMD Ryzen 5, so 5 in the middle. And then it shows you the spec. So it is a 5500U. So 5 is the generation, and then 500. So it's everything is 5. So it's the middle. So you don't need to go any further. Let's see what else we have here. See, most of these don't have graphics card. And usually you can tell, like, once it is like 300, like $230, you know, you'll be lucky if it have a graphics card. This one say i3. Avoid that like the plague. Nothing i3 will work for you guys. All right.
Sir, my own has Ryzen and Radeon. I think
Right. So you have a
this one is
Radeon.
HP.
Right. So it has a Radeon graphics card, which is okay. Radeons are okay.
Sir,
Remember,
what about the Ryzen as well?
Ryzen and Radeon is okay. Ryzen is, remember we spoke about the two brands. So we have Intel and then we have AMD. Those are the two brands. In AMD world, Ryzen is the name of the CPU, right? So which is fine. Just watch the numbers just like before. So Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9. And if it is a Ryzen 7, like, don't choose a slow 7. It's better you choose a faster 5. You have to watch the horsepower for that. So for example, if it says Ryzen 7 7200 versus a Ryzen 5 5900, the 5900 is going to be faster than the 7200. All right, just remember that. So as for the Radeon is fine. It's not going to be as good as the NVIDIA, but to tell you the truth, NVIDIA is really expensive. It is not a must. I would say that if you're somebody that is going to be like rendering a lot, it comes down to the program that you're going to use. So for example, if you're going to use Twinmotion to do ray trace rendering, you have to get NVIDIA. But if you're not going to do ray trace rendering, you don't have to. Now, you maybe don't know what that means, which is fine, because at this stage, you're kind of learning the technology. But the reason why you would choose an NVIDIA is because it has a feature called ray tracing, and you pay money for that feature. But if you're not going to use that feature, you're kind of wasting money. And that feature is what does photorealistic rendering with some programs. So it's like a little risk. It's like, do I spend the money for the NVIDIA or spend the money for the Radeon? The Radeon is going to be cheaper. If you're going to go for the Radeon, look at the numbers again. The first digit, which is the generation, and the last two digits, which is the horsepower. All right. So at the end of the day, yes, Ryzen is fine, Radeon is fine. But what you want to go for is more NVIDIA. And if you can find a combination of Ryzen and NVIDIA, then that's also a good deal. All right, because usually, as I said, they combine Intel with NVIDIA, and that's an expensive deal. All right, any more questions?
Wait, sir, so Ryzen and Radeon are two different things?
Ryzen is the name of the CPU line, and Radeon is the name of the GPU line. Both of them belong to the company AMD. But it's like, you know, it's kind of like Toyota make buses, and the buses called, I don't remember what the buses are called, but they also make bikes, and the bike is called something. So it's like the same thing. So AMD makes CPUs and AMD makes GPUs. For example, NVIDIA only makes GPUs. They don't make CPUs. And like Intel makes CPUs. Ever since the dawn of man, they have always made CPUs from before I was born. And recently they start making GPUs, right? So that is how you get the Ryzen. The Ryzen is for the CPU and the Radeon is for the GPU. All right.
Yeah, Ryzen and Radeon together? Because my laptop is saying Ryzen and Radeon.
Usually you will find Ryzen and Radeon together because both of them are owned by the same companies, and that's where you will get the best deal because both of them are owned by the same companies.
Okay, I was just confirming that.
Right. But for Intel and NVIDIA, it's two different companies. So, you know, everybody want their cut. So it's going to cost more. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody meddling in the world of desktop? Because we're talking about laptops here. Anybody? No, nobody don't plan to get any desktops? All right, cool.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool. You
I'm
plan
planning on building one eventually.
Okay, good. Well, you need to watch those numbers.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of all of them already.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah. And guys, you can ask me these questions as we go through the module. All right. I mean, you know, a lot of people ask about when they're purchasing. A lot of people buy computers during this module. So I'm here. This module is supposed to prepare you for digital design. So, all right, guys. Next class, make sure you have your Photoshop ready. All right. So if you guys got the number today, you're gonna call Mr. Campbell or check the lab tech upstairs, or hoping that you need to install the Photoshop. You can use the computers in the CSA lab if you want. All right. But you need to have your Photoshop ready for exercise 1 next week, Monday.